Okay, we're out here. Very first thing, part of changing the sprockets and stuff today is we have got to clean this beast. And I have Motorcycle Boy out here with me, and he's thrilled to be out here working with me today. He just loves it. He does. We took off the cover to spray out all this grime in there, just to make it easier to where we don't get crap all over us. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to start this project. Of course, this little lock washer there that you bend up to lock the sprocket nut on. Of course, you got to bend back out, in order to get that nut off. A lot of different ways to do it and stuff. I just use a rubber mallet with a big flat tip screwdriver because the metal on that washer is pretty soft. So, in order to take this front sprocket off, you need a 32 millimeter socket, and of course, I just put it in gear and then give it a twist. And so, basically, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and bear in mind that the way I do this may not be how you or your dealer does it or anything like that, but this is the way that I do it. One of the things that I do on when I'm working on bikes is I try to make it as easy as possible. I use impact drivers and everything else. I use the impact drivers really for taking parts off. Then I'll use a cordless drill for putting parts back on, but I set the chuck real low to where as soon as it hits resistance, the clutch on the drill engages so it doesn't over torque anything. But using this sort of stuff and getting the right fittings makes it a lot easier to get stuff off. Okay, the other thing is you got to loosen the rear sprocket, the rear axle nut. Now the other thing is the same socket that works on the front sprocket counter shaft will work on the rear axle nut. Basically what you do is you got to loosen all this up. Now one thing that's going to really help you is if you get a little PB blaster and you spray the bolts and such, as well as you spray the counter shaft area, the sprocket area, to kind of loosen that up for you, and that'll help loosen some stuff up. You're also going to want to spray the sprocket bolts. And it's just going to help. So one of the other things that kind of a little hack that helps is on these right here and stuff. Undo the 13 millimeter nut and take it all the way back to where it makes contact with this and torque it a little bit, okay, to where it's tight against this. And then you can, with your fingers, roll the big bolt, the big nut, like this, and it will turn this right here versus having to use the 10 millimeter to constantly rock, turn that to where it bring it forward. All right. Okay, you're going to need a 17 millimeter wrench for the sprocket bolts. Now what I do is while the tire and the chain and everything is still on the bike, I break loose the nuts because I use the chain and such as a lock, use the motor and everything to help, let me have a little bit of something to where I can leverage on these nuts because they're definitely on there. Okay. So what I do, this is how I take off an old chain that I'm not going to use again, that's completely worn out. I could use the chain breaker and everything else, but this works well and stuff. So what I do is I grind the rivet off, okay? And then I just take a flat tip screwdriver and I stick in there and then pops off. Then you basically pull the link out. There you go, and you loosen the Okay, so One of the things I do when I put new sprockets on, and this is a 16 tooth, I put, you know, the gray anti-seize and I coat the damn threads. And then of course you saw me hit it with a little PB blaster. And then I tap on it, you know, just with a rubber mallet, you know, and a screwdriver against one of the, you know, the teeth. And then I can see it, and then I just wiggle it loose. And I hear guys all the time talk about having to grind shit off, which I don't understand. You just turn the teeth a certain way, like right here, like this, and it'll come right off. And even though I'm a little ways away from putting the new sprocket on, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, coat the splines. And I do this so the damn shit doesn't seize onto the thing. Okay, one of the things that I also do is I just get a 17mm impact socket and hook it to my gun. Because believe it or not, these sprocket bolts, they're tough to get off. When I do this, I end up putting like the hub and various things in the parts washer and just clean them up. So I opted for a Super Sprockets, which you know, it's good quality and such, so I'm going to put it on back onto the hub that I just cleaned up. So when they put these on at the factory, they put red Loctite. I'm putting blue Loctite on it. I know some guys, that's not how they do it, but this is how I do it. Stuff. And then what I'll do is put the nut on and use the impact driver to zip it down before I basically torque it down in place. Of course, Motorcycle Boy gave up on me. He just thought it wasn't fun enough. And so anyway, I put the Super Sprockets on it and the blue Loctite. Now the other thing to be aware is, if you're at all concerned about your wheel bearings, you know, particularly your rear ones right now, this is a fantastic time to go ahead and change those. I checked the rear wheel bearings and they felt good and smooth, and I pulled the grease seal out of the rear one and looked at it, and I actually put a little bit of grease down in there and then put the grease seal back on. So I ended up putting it in a vise and on the nuts, you know, cranking down on them. I don't know what the torque specs are, but on the rear sprocket, you know, I just get them pretty damn tight. So I replaced the chain guard slider, and I'm going to be honest, man, it's not in that bad. I mean, it's worn, but it's not in that bad a shape. Of course, I didn't pull off the clutch slave. I didn't remove the guard in order to get this out. And how you do that when you do it is basically you take this and you straighten it out like this, okay? And then you feed it out through the back of the bike. And of course, as you put it on, you know, don't forget to put just a little blue Loctite on the nut that goes, the bolt that goes right there, and then there's one underneath. And these are kind of items that you're really not going to look at that often, so you might as well just put a little Loctite on it and crank it down, and you know, without stripping it, of course. And be done with it, so you don't have to revisit that damn thing somewhere 1,000 miles from home and such. I don't know. I'm probably an hour and a half into this job, or 2 beers, and time working on your bike is probably better measured in beers than it is time. Stuff, at least for you know, wannabe alcoholics like me. Okay, I got the new sprocket on, and of course, in all fairness, full disclosure, I did have to fuck with it a little bit, but I did not have to grind any teeth. What I did is I kind of lined it up as best I could, and then I took the handle of a wooden mallet and put it up there like this, and then I just kind of lined it up with it, and then used my palm of my hand on it right there, and kind of, you know, whacked it a couple times with my hand, with, you know, like this, and the sprocket popped right on. Of course, one of the things that's critical is you have to line these teeth up, you know, forming that little gap. You know, one tooth above, one tooth below, that kind of splits the pivot shaft there for the swing arm. And like I said, I use a lot of, you know, impact drivers and stuff, and for this big shaft here, I use this to get it started and sort of, you know, get it flush. So there you go, and that'll get it started, and then I'll get it, you know, torqued down and tight. Well, got the chain on. I removed, it's 120 link chain, so I had to remove 2 links to make 118. And now I'm in the process of putting the chain faceplate on, and then I'll rivet it. Well, I got it on, riveted the chain on. I took it out for a test ride. I rode it easy about, I don't know, 6-7 miles and such, and then the 6-7 miles back I rode it hard and such. I figure I got it set just a tad tight right now, not real tight, just a tad tight, and such. I know I'm gonna have to adjust it, the chain probably, you know, soon and such, but I just want to see how it did. And man, I'm gonna be honest, compared to the old Chain Sprockets I just took off, the bike is so smooth now. You can really feel it. That old Chain Sprockets was adding to a lot of lower end vibration, which this definitely helped. Well, the setup's done. Long term, we'll see how it does. I think the chain and sprockets and such are just stunning, and such. The only thing I kind of learned from this is I need to drink more beer while I'm doing it, and